very warm welcome. This is Blues and Red, our RB Leipzig podcast. We're at home in Leipzig, and this podcast is made for you wherever you are on this little planet. We're recording this on Friday night, so we might be a little bit delayed in pushing it out, but it's great to have you back, and we're really grateful for everyone who listens to us around the globe. By the way, this is our second season, and we're at episode number 34 this season, and I just feel this has been quite a lot of episodes already. Time's flying when you're having fun. Hope you do have some fun as well. And first, I would like to welcome the brain of our podcast, Richard. How are you? Friday night.
Oh, it couldn't be better, right? Friday night, one of my favorite nights, although night will be short though, because you have to get up early Saturday morning because,
me too.
Before football is handball duties, family handball duties, and we have to be in that sports arena.
Yeah, with 20,000 people.
At 8 o'clock in the morning. So, but besides of that, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Wonderful. Great to have you back. Well, today we will have to have a look back at our last match last weekend at the Wohlheite Union Berlin versus RB Leipzig. It was hard to watch. We'll talk about that a little bit and try to keep it brief for obvious reasons. We're going to have a quick look at the transfer window, which closed on Monday, and RB Leipzig had a few additions. We'll look at those. Also, we will be looking at Xavi Simons and why he's not for sale, even if we don't reach the Champions League. And what's the status about Marco Rose? Does he have the confidence of the sporting director Marcel Schäfer? Well, we'll find out. And of course, we're going to have a look at our next opponent on Sunday. We're going to welcome I'm going to call them the Buccaneers of the Bundesliga, the Pirates, FC St. Pauli. We met them twice already. And Richard will have his prediction for the starting 11, as usual. So, let's get going. Well, I'm so sorry, but we have to look back at Saturdays. No, was it Sunday's match versus Union Berlin? I don't remember anymore.
Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Wasn't it a top game? The evening
it was
game?
Top game.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes,
poor
sir.
people who had
Match
to watch
of the
it
day.
to get through it. We were watching the international feed, and there was a little bit of bingo going on in terms of words. There was a lot of Wohlheite and the Waldseite and the Leipziger. I thought it was really funny. And the Unioner. Well, it was the awaited and the dreaded match, which was difficult to play. First half was dreadful. I don't know why I watched it. And if you look at the X goals and the box scores, it was so dreadful. I just remember that Xavi hit sort of almost the roof of the stadium as well. So wouldn't have even been a field goal in American football because they would have missed it. But it was so hard to watch, and I remembered I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on because the team which was on the pitch was pretty good, and if you look at the names, it was quite good. But hey, first half was really bad, but then Marco Rose did something extraordinary. He made substitutions during halftime. And Richard, that was the point when you asked me, does he still have a job?
Yeah, I was wondering if this is allowed. Is he allowed to do this? Does he have this permission within his contract, make substitutions and tactical changes at halftime?
Tactical changes.
I've never seen that before.
We even recognized. No, the people were not the experts.
It was clearly visible. It was clearly visible. Yeah.
What did you think about those tactical changes?
Well, when the second half started, it wasn't that visible in first sight regarding to the outcome or the dreadfulness of the whole match our lads were playing. But as soon as Luke Haber came on, and he came on in the 72nd minute, and I think from that moment on, and when Klostermann switched to the right defensive side, that helped the team to find in some other rhythm. Mm-hmm. So it's just my 2 cents. So because Luke Haber brought in that much stability on one hand side, and on the other hand side, that's a guy who was able to play a straightforward pass for like 30-40 meters on point, on time, and not only flat, but also he can play some nice crosses or long high balls over the midfield, and that helped to get the Unioner a little bit more busy within their own defense. And if I watched it correctly, there was not more than besides that sequence where Gulacsi grabbed some air and not the ball just before the final whistle. But in that time, Lukeba was on the pitch. So between that sequence and when he came on, I think there were only 1 or 2 shots from Union and nothing on goal. So on the other hand side, our offensive performance was way better than the earlier 70 minutes before he was on. Although we didn't had much, effort towards the net. So the keeper of Union had not much chances or opportunities to save some balls. But the whole, the whole style, the whole playing style, the whole approach of how the idea should be to get something into the back of the net was clearly more visible than before. And I hope if that's the basis, if that's the bottom line to come from, to build something in the upcoming weeks, that might be some, silver arrow, some silver stream, some tunnel at the end of the light. No, it's the other way around, right? Some light at the end of the tunnel,
maybe. But I sense some
something to build on.
I sense, no, that sounds great. But I sense some cautious optimism because you saw something, like you said, where the team can actually work on or build on, and that seems to make you quite hopeful for the next couple of weeks. Do you still feel the same? It's Friday, 5 days.
Yes, we had a full week of practice.
Okay.
No Englische Woche in between, and especially a full week of practice of Monsieur Lukeba.
Yeah.
So I like to mention him especially because he caught my eye, as I told you. And so, I'm quite optimistic. But I don't want to get now to the St. Pauli match because we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Exactly. But to be honest, you kind of share the view of other RB Leipzig podcasts, fan podcasts in German that are established here for a couple of years. And their sense is quite optimistic. So there is a certain, I don't know if I should call it buzz, but there's a certain optimism for those people who will attend the match on Sunday. I'm not so sure, but maybe it's because I missed the second half. I didn't watch the second half. And I know Šeško scored, but the goal was disallowed. I'm not sure why, but I guess it was obvious when you watched it and you didn't seem to protest either. But all my takeaway was when I was reading the headlines that RB Leipzig almost lost the match. And of course, I'm a little bit impacted by the international feed broadcast because it featured Steffen Freund. And Steffen Freund is a friend of teams who are sort of the underdogs and keep fighting and biting. And in a certain sense, Union Berlin was fighting. They were harmless. I'm sorry, they were harmless. And it would have been a big coincidence if they had hit the goal or scored. And they could have done, I know, in the last minute. But I'm not I haven't seen that last sequence. So maybe if I had seen it, I would be a bit more optimistic. So hopefully you're right. And you seem to share the view with lots of other people here in Leipzig as well. And the supporters. Okay. So, that was the match that took place on Saturday. And, then the next thing to look forward to was the end of the transfer window to see if anything would happen during that time with RB Leipzig. And they took that time, a long time. It was really, really interesting. So I remember just a couple of days, was it the next day or was it the Monday? Was it Sunday when it was announced, hey, Xavi Simons is going to be an RB Leipzig player. He wouldn't not only be loaned out, no, RB Leipzig secured his duties for a mere 50 million euros, to be honest. I saw a statistic. The Bundesliga in total spent 170 million in that transfer window. The English Premier League in excess of 400, of course. And the 50 million plus the 5 that RB Leipzig spent on other players was quite a big chunk out of those 170 million. But going back to Xavi Simons, I should have been really excited, but I wasn't. It was sort of like an anticlimax. And you know why? Because I was still thinking about the stupid Union game. And I felt it wouldn't help us right now. It wouldn't help us right now because it also emerged that André Silva would be on his way out. And then it was confirmed on Monday. He's joined SV Werder Bremen on a loan. There was no loan fee, and RB Leipzig and Werder Bremen are sharing his salary as well. And I understood it's meant to be around 3.5 million, something like that. So divided by 2, that's what we still pay. But Andre Silva has big chances to play, actually get minutes and play. But I don't suspect him to actually come back and feature in the RB Leipzig squad. And then there were some new additions, like Riedle Baku, but that doesn't count anymore because he's played already, so we got used to him already. But then they added 2 more youngsters, and that is Tidiam Gomis. I think he's from the second tier Ligue 2 in France. 18-year-old, really good talent, but he hasn't really played that much, and he wasn't anybody who's played in the starting 11. So a young talent to be developed. Number one, would have expected him to come in the summer. And then you have to pronounce his name. Come on, let the Serbian get a hold of you. His name is Kosta Nedjekovic. Yay! And he joins us from Villa. Not a regular starter either, but he's played against RB Leipzig. That's when he was playing for Roter Sternberg, right, in the Champions League. And also, he came on the pitch when Villa took away 3 points. Don't want to talk about that. Still hurts. But deservedly took away the 3 points out of Leipzig a couple of months ago. So, yeah, also a new guy. Maybe out of all of them, the most senior guy. But again, not somebody who has played on a regular basis, who's been a feature in the starting 11. And they all need time. So, in that sense, RB Leipzig's gone back to getting young talents who need to be nurtured and developed. Maybe if you think back of Konate and Upamecano, going to be great maybe in 1.5, 2 years' time. But I think the same thing we've got with Nusa and Vermeeren. So they've gone back to this, but those young talents will not help us right now. And that's a little bit the issue I've got with it. But on the other hand, you may say, well, we're going to have less matches for the rest of the season. What do you think, Richard?
Well, you're absolutely right. You're on point. So those lads that joined us recently will not help us right now. And, I got some issues with the transfer of Tidiam Gomis. Not that I don't think that he is a great talent and he has lots of, upside potential. But this guy is 18 years old. And I think guys as young as he is, they have to play, and they have to play in a competitive top-tier level. Mm-hmm. And I don't see that much space, that much opportunities for him to occur, to perform for RB Leipzig, because he is not that striker that's, just put him into the box, because he is not that tall, and the heading game is not what's on his sheet in top row. He's more a right midfielder hybrid striker. So that's what I caught on tape from him. Mm-hmm. And I think, okay, if that's the role that he's supposed to play for RB Leipzig, then there is Antonio Nusa, who is clearly number 1 in that unit. And shortly after him, there's Baumgartner. So I think this 18-year-old guy from France is at best number 3 in that position. Okay. So I'm wondering, what's the plan with him? So I could have accepted it and would have understood it totally if their transfer would have been announced, and then with the next sentence, okay, but he stays on loan in France. And that was like, okay, that is cool. So we have security of the player, and he can develop further and stays within his team, and he can just develop. But now he is with us and won't play, or at best at the under-19 squad. And I don't think, and I think we're going to talk about it at some point later in this episode, I don't think this is a right approach to put that young people into a man's top-tier Bundesliga side. I think there are better ways to help them. And Costa, I talked about it in this German version of our little podcast earlier this week. And to me, this is a boom or bust candidate. And because he had a really steep career as soon as he turned 18. So he had 14 games for the top level for the men's squad of Red Star Belgrade. And then he had a severe or mediocre knee injury that stopped him from playing from February till May 2024. Then he joined Villa, and then he was substituted in for the first 3 weeks of the Premier League. And obviously, coach Unai Emery wasn't satisfied with his performances, so he wasn't that much on the pitch later on. And so obviously he struggled to find his place in this squad, and now he's on loan with us. And, he showed some glimpses of greatness in the Mozart-Bet Super League in Serbia. But the question is he ready for top-tier Bundesliga football, top 5 league European football, or is he not? And if he should be ready, then that could have been a great transfer for relatively cheap money, and we have this buying option in his contract. And I expect him to play, because the role that he was transferred is clearly being on that right defensive position in the back four. And the only guy that we have now, so with the injury of Henrichs, is Lukas Klostermann. Mm-hmm. And I love this guy. I love our number 16, but only defensively. So that he's not the best option when it comes to offense performances from that position. This is a huge gap between him and David Raum on his left-hand side. So if Costa should be a real, other option with maybe more strengths in offensive playing style, that could be some guy who will be a regular starter towards the end of the season. So, and we will see him. But on the other hand side, if he is going to he will have like 2, 3, 4 opportunities, maybe on Sunday for like 30 minutes, maybe more. And he has to use it. And if he don't, well, he gonna go back on the island by the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
But you mentioned something really interesting. I'd like to touch on that, if you don't mind. The youth players, the under 19. And 2 things I like to mention. One is one of the under 19 players has been loaned out to a team in Italy. I forgot. Is it FC Turin again? FC Turin.
Yes. And I don't think this is a coincidence, since Red Bull started
maybe it
some
is
sponsoring there.
Something like a farm team in the future. You never know. It's and they're in a competitive league. So, but he gets loaned out, and they even have a buying option. They can buy him for 2 million euros. And you went to Klagenfurt. I mean, you went to Klagenfurt, and that was really interesting. And you did mention that RB Leipzig was 1-0 down, and there was a period when you thought, okay, why you take youngsters with you? I think they had 3 youth players on the bench. There's nothing to lose, nothing to gain in the sense of reputation. There's nothing to lose. Well, gain sense of money, actually. Why don't you bring on the youngsters? And who did Marco Rose bring in? Klostermann. First of all, defender. But none of the youngsters were able to come on. What do you think? What was the reason for that? Not giving them some playing time in a match like this versus a team which was in their second competitive match in 2025. I still can't get over it. You don't know either.
I don't know, but the answer is like obvious. Our coach is not convinced that they are ready to play in this competition and on that level. Mm-hmm. And so that can only mean that those youngsters are only this. In Germany we would say Zählkandidaten, so only there for the record, because you have to fulfill some youth player
like a quota.
Because you have to have some local youth players on your roster. Mm-hmm. So they have a certain amount of players within the age of 23 something that has to play for your club like 5 or 6 years. Yeah. So that's you are eligible to make a roster without those players.
Okay.
And obviously that was the reason that I was with them, because I did not and don't understand it to today. Because you nailed it. This match was already gone. Nothing could happen besides of getting some other goals and getting down 2 or 3 goals and losing anyway. There was this team was rock bottom, and there's only one way to go when you're down like this. It's up.
Yeah. Exactly.
So why not bring them on? And the only answer I got, I mentioned it already. Yeah, they're not ready.
It's really interesting because at the beginning, when RB Leipzig started to climb up the tiers of the Dritte Bundesliga, third tier, second, they started to, they had the under 23s, which they stopped after a while because that didn't close the gap either and wasn't effective. So in my memory, they started loaning out players to the German league, to the second tier, third tier. Third tier, Schreiber, the goalie, who's now at Dynamo Dresden, has never been at ours. He had some great scenes in the German Pokal with Saarbrücken. Okay, but obviously he wasn't good enough to come to RB Leipzig and maybe challenger Martin van der Voort, who's going to replace Gulaschi rather sooner than later. That's something I read. The plans are going that way. But I think of the gentleman named Kraus. He played for Schalke and he had a pretty good career there and then went on to Nuremberg. I think he's now at Mainz. You mentioned somebody else, our Demirovic. Sorry, Demirovic moment. But there were some successful developments, just not within RB Leipzig. I think nobody came back and played at RB Leipzig after they were loaned out. But that was sort of the process that they had in place then. And then it kind of changed. It seemed to have changed that they loan out players or sell players to other clubs outside of the Bundesliga. So it clearly needs a league which is maybe even more competitive than the second Bundesliga. But I still don't think that Jatta's going to come back. He's gonna be gone. He's gonna be gone. So that doesn't support the case or the thesis that you want to develop young players to come into your first team, or maybe that's not possible at the moment. But having said that, with the new head of global soccer, Mr. Klopp, maybe there's a new approach. And especially in American sports and in ice hockey over here, so in hockey over here, you have farm teams. And Red Bull Salzburg has a farm team. You can't probably establish a farm team for RB Leipzig within the German league system, but, we mentioned FC Turin, and this is now really just thinking of it out of the box. But maybe that is the way which this is going to go. Maybe you need something like that, like a farm team in a different league. Yeah, I don't know. It's something to be discussed in the future, but nevertheless, there has been some movement, a record signing, so Xavi's going to be there, and I like to talk about Xavi as well. Because people were wondering, well, why the heck is RB Leipzig able to buy him? And the sporting director, Marcel Schäfer, did say, well, some door opened, some window of opportunity opened, and he was available all of a sudden. I mean, the timing of the announcement was really interesting right after the dreadful game at Union towards the end of the transfer window. And Mr. Marcel Schäfer also claims that Minzlaff put everything in there to secure that deal. So I'm sure they worked on this for a long time. There was a lot of schmoozing and arm twisting and negotiations in the background. And actually, it speaks volumes for RB Leipzig that they are able to do that, and that headquarters for the whole soccer empire of our Red Bull actually allowed this. And, when we had this episode that we talked about Red Bulls getting serious, maybe that is a direction that they're going to travel now, but still, they're going to keep to developing players. So, for the rest of the season, RB Leipzig has to work with the squad that they've got. So, it's same as every year. We're in the same position again. And Marcel Schäfer also commented on the rumors that Xavi might leave RB Leipzig, might be sold, hopefully at the profit then, if RB Leipzig misses the Champions League. And he actually said, no, this is not the case. Although his contract is until 2027, which would mean in the next season, he is in his last season. Is that? Yeah, 25, 26?
Yeah.
No, 26, 27. No, there would be one in between. So that is that gap here, so to speak. He actually claims that, everybody's calm, collective, and the plan is that Xavi stays. The team is going to be improved further, and they're going to shoot for their ambitions that they have. Some people actually say in 2 years' time they're ripe for the title. The vision that you had for this season with Willi Orban. I'm not sure he's still there. But we will see. And in that context, it's also interesting to mention that Marcel Schäfer has given Marco Rove a job guarantee. Well, that's what they said. He said it's on the team. Everybody has to work hard, has to work together to reach the Champions League. And he is convinced that with Marco Rose, they're going to do this. It's not a statement of what's going to happen beyond summer, if he's going to be there when they rebuild the team or add the team or reform the team for next season. But it sounds to me as if he's got all confidence and all support and all the pressure to succeed in the remainder of the season. I'm just waiting for you if you want to add anything.
Oh, no, thank you. I'm just that impressed listening to you. Thank you. Please go on. No, totally not.
Excellent. So, well, why don't we move on to our next opponent? The Buccaneers of the Bundesliga.
Introducing our next opponent, their Gegnercheck.
Well, you did it again, didn't you? You won tickets. You what's it?
Yes, sir. Fifth time. I'm going to be there, Sector A. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm a lucky smart ass. But I'm really looking forward because on that night in German time, it's in the middle of the night, there will be the Super Bowl. So that's going to be a really sports-intensive Sunday for me. 5:30 local time, the Bundesliga match, and then 12:30, so 30 minutes to 1 o'clock in the next day, so to speak, is kickoff for Super Bowl 59. I'm looking forward to that. Go Chiefs, by the way. But back to business, back to bread and butter business, Bundesliga football. Third time of the season that we're going to face St. Pauli, and we're unbeaten.
Oh, yeah.
It's worth to mention, right? Okay, we had some dreadful 0-0 draw in the first match at Hamburg. And a few weeks later, this 4-2 victory in the DFB Pokal, where our second suits seem to fit very well.
Depleted squad, completely, but they did it. The lads did it.
Yeah. But to be honest, that match ran into our direction no matter what, because every attack we forced in the first half was successful. And in the second half, we got lucky that we didn't receive the equalizer. And then just it took a while to make it to the 4-2 and the final score. So, what do we expect now? We have to be cautious. Be aware, St. Pauli already with 4 away wins. That's a lot for a league's newcomer. And by the way, they won at Stuttgart recently. Don't forget about that.
Okay.
And now, they're on a 3-game unbeaten streak. So 2 wins, and that draw versus Augsburg was very unlucky because they had lots of chances to score more than this lonely goal. And it would not have been that unpredictable if they were on a 3-game winning streak, but they are not. Be aware, they have the second, hear me on, they have the second best defense of the league. Only 22 goals conceded. Only our beloved Bayern Munich squad is better with 19 goals conceded.
Really?
So 22 is quite a lot. Yeah, RBL had 29 and in that category. So be aware. And, besides those usually 3 backs defenders, a whole lot of impact on that has their number 22, their goalie from Bosnia-Herzegovina. Do you speak like that in English? I don't know. From Bosnia.
No, that was good. Herzegovina.
Thank you.
Herzegovina.
Yeah, all right.
That's fine.
Okay, cool.
I
So
guess.
they're number 22.
What do I know? Sitzt auch noch hier rum.
Nikola Vassil, 73% save percentage. That's huge. That
is pretty good.
Man. It's extraordinary. So we have to be cautious. And so he was in goal when we scored 4 against them. Well, that's really, really rare that he concedes that many goals, and that won't happen again. To say this at this point of the podcast, that won't happen again. We won't score 4 goals.
Really?
So
why not?
Why? Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, no, because I'm going to tell you later.
Okay.
So what's their weak point? Obviously, because so there are now I think they are placed on 13 now with 21 points in the league. Obviously, it's their offense. Only 18 goals scored. It's the third worst figure in that category. So only Union Berlin and Bochum with 16 and 17 goals respectively has scored less. But we all know that might mean nothing, because bear in mind that Bochum scored almost 20% of their whole goals they scored that season.
Why do you have to remind us?
And they scored it within 45 minutes. Even more impressive.
I think it was 16 minutes. Didn't they equalize?
Yeah.
Within 16 minutes. Unbelievable.
60 minutes. Obviously, so the weak point of the Hamburger is their offense. So, and what's good for us is they have some crucial losses most recently. So in their last match, they lost their number 29, Morgan Guillabougui. And I remember we talked about him before that cup match, right? Yeah. So now he is out with the foot injury, and that guy ran really hard in recent games. He scored twice in the last 3 games, 1 assist already, and that lonely goal versus Augsburg from St. Pauli came from an own goal, but the crosser came from, guess who? Number 29, Morgan Guillaboui. And then was, I think, the number 23, Philipp Treu, came on with the header that was spectacular, saved by Finn Dahmen. And then finally, the opportunity from the rebound went to the, I think it was Banks from Augsburg, who just put it into the back of his own net. And so it was a little bit lucky how the ball went in. But the point is here that, this right attacking side, and especially with the number 29, Guillaboui is on fire, or was on fire. And, it will help us definitely that he is not there. And the other guy also on that right attacking side is their number 2, Manuel Saliakas. He's out with an upper leg injury. And that's the guy who usually plays 1 row behind Guillaboui. So Saliakas is usually their right midfielder. So the coach Blessing loves to play in a 3-4-3 with some slight adjustments depending on the opponent. So, and usually in that 4-man midfield, it is Saliakas who's on the right side, and Guillaboui is one of their 3 strikers, so the outside striker on the right lane. And so both of those lads won't be there in this match on Sunday afternoon. And that should help us massively, because, our offensive side is the left side usually. And with David Raum and Xavi usually coming over the left side, that should keep the St. Pauli right side pretty busy with defensive actions. And that will help us to slow them down in their, I told you, in general, poor offense. And now with one of their key players, one of the key factors not available, that's going to help us definitely big time. Okay. So who is going to be as a replacement? It's tough to call, because it's like pretty much like we do have some problems with injury. St. Pauli do have some problems as well. So there is some Saad won't be ready to play for 90 minutes. That was the coach told today on the press conference. There's some other question mark behind Lars Ritzka, who could play in midfield, but maybe not available as well. So I expected Philipp Treu, I mentioned him, number 23, switching sides, switching into the right offensive strike to replace Guillaboui in that unit. And then, well, it wouldn't surprise me that much if we're going to watch Van der Heyden, who just joined St. Pauli in the winter break at the Saliakas position in right midfield. So, conclusion, well, their defense is strong, their goalie is even stronger. Usually, their offense is not that strong. Now, even weaker than normal. And also those other guys that are still there. There's Eggestein, who was at Bremen a few years ago, then went to Austria didn't work out for him. Now he's back, and he's not that bad. It's okay. I think it's an okayish Bundesliga player.
Definitely.
But his performance, putting the ball into the back of the net, is just poor. Okay. And I don't have any other name for that. And that is this other guy. I forgot his name right now. I think where are my notes? I always miss my notes. It's Noah Weishaupt. Yeah, that guy from Freiburg. He's schon from Freiburg, Noah Weishaupt.
Exactly.
And and he's quick and he's intelligent, and you can bring up some good qualities according his playing style. When it comes down to what it's all about, scoring goals as an offensive player, well, he does not perform in a way he should. So, well, it's mostly it's just a lack of accuracy. But be aware, because this, as longer as the season goes, and I think that Coach Blessin has adjusted to the league's tempo, to the league's toughness, and his players has as well. That won't be an easy task in either way. So, what do I expect from our lads here? And who I think is Coach Rose gonna send out?
Liebe Fußballfans, wir kommen jetzt zu unserer heutigen Mannschaftsaufstellung.
Returning, Peter Gulacsi.
Okay.
Hopefully, Klostermann, Lukiber, Orban, and Raum are going to start in the back four. And I expect to join Net Jelkovic from, guess what, in the 60th minute, or maybe 61st. Defensive midfield, Haidara and Kampel. Please, I think Kampel, when it came on versus Union Berlin, was pretty good, way better than Seibert. I'm sorry. And with a full week of practice, Kampel should be good to go from the very beginning. Nusa and Simmons, I think it's mandatory. And Shesko, of course. And I would like to see Baumgartner here to put even more speed into this left lane. We talked about why. And so we have to keep them busy. What is extremely necessary is playing quick. Quick, pass the ball quickly. And then,
to be honest. But why not start now? Come on.
That has to be the approach, because that's where the St. Pauli defense had shown some issues when they're like physically strong but not that quick in the first meters. So pass the ball quickly and then trying to shoot and go for rebounds, because Vasil is strong in goalkeeping, is strong on the line. Here, sometimes the rebounds are not that in that position where you want to love it if you're on the defensive side. Mm-hmm. So go for rebounds, and I think we're gonna finally get home with another win, and it's gonna be a close one, and it's gonna be a 2-0 with one penalty.
Okay, 2-0 is also my prediction. It's really a shame that Yusuf Paulsen is now injured, not available for Sunday. It would have been interesting to see. But if you're looking at pace, then maybe Yusuf Paulsen would be good for the last 20 minutes. Or 60th minute. I'm sorry, from the 60th, of course. It also emerged that Sava Schlager is available mid-March. Is it mid-March after an international break? So it's 6 more weeks he's going to be out. So it is longer than suspected. And, I'm pretty optimistic as well. And also the same because of what your prediction here and your explanations as well. I think this has to happen. The crowd is optimistic. The crowd's going to be there and it's going to share. And it has to happen. We need the 3 points, and the other teams that are important play each other. Plus, don't forget, it's only 4 points the other way down to the 10th place of the league. And we're just 1 point ahead of, is it VfB Stuttgart? Well, that race is going to be close until the end anyway. So why not start now? Now, everybody, or Marcel Schäfer, seems to be confident that we have a good chance of finishing up in 4th spot because, like you said before, there are going to be less games, but still on the international side with the players joining their national teams, I think there's still enough matches to be played there as well. So there's always the risk of people or players not coming back. And what we did forget to mention when talking about the transfer window, Elmas has been loaned out to FC Turin as well. And we wish him all the best. I still don't know why he's not allowed to play, but it kind of emerged last week that Marco Rose said he was never really fit. We don't know. And I think you talked about this last week because he played in his national team anyway. So, yeah, Silva is up in Bremen. Bremen is playing tonight versus the mighty Bayern München. So we'll see if he's in the squad and if he's going to be included. But this is none of our worries anymore because we're going to be focusing on Sunday. I also think it's going to be a 2-0 win. First 3 points of this calendar year in the bag. We haven't conceded any goals this calendar year either in the Bundesliga. Unbelievable, isn't it? And we haven't lost yet in the Bundesliga either. Yeah. So guys, this has been Bulls and Red. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. Follow us on our socials. You can send us an old school email at podcast@bullsandred.com. It would be great if you like the podcast, if you've subscribed to it on your favorite platform. You can leave a review and a comment, and loads of stars would be wonderful if you feel like it. And we would be very happy if you come back to listen to our next episode, which is going to be next week. So keep our fingers crossed. Keep rooting for RB Leipzig. Let's cheer them on for the first 3 points this calendar year, and the big race for the last Champions League spot is well on the way. Richard, thank you very much. Vielen, vielen Dank. Much appreciated. And to everybody else, let's conclude with a Auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs!